Wind energy dispute. Wind energy is also an epigenetic factor, be it for nature or directly or indirectly for us humans. Many people are not aware of the costs. In itself, a good idea. But you also need special materials for it. That's one thing, but what does it do to the nature in which it is located? In this surprisingly critical documentary of the German TV channel ZDF, biologists and residents also have their say, the people who have to live with it. I lived close to these things myself, and I can tell you, it's not fun. In this documentary, it's about the fact that wind turbines are causing more and more disputes, because these huge machines are just simply placed without asking where people actually want to live quiet and peacefully, the countryside, and then they say that does not harm and is good for nature, but you experience something completely different. Many people do not know that at least in Germany, the strike number of birds that are killed because of them is not counted or documented. Biologists, conservationists, etc., have made a 500-page study with the result: wind power is in no way environmentally friendly. Not at all. To put it briefly, common buzzards seem to have a certain affinity to become a victim. The strike number in 1 year was 7% of the population. 7% have been shredded in 1 year. So really shredded into the rotors. We also have a problem with bats. Please do not equate them with vampires. They are also very important for the ecological balance, especially when you have a lot of mosquitoes and other insects. They catch them. Considering their strike numbers, it's estimated that 200,000 bats are being killed due to wind turbines. First, it was thought that they hit against the rotors because they are moving. But it is something different. They were torn apart internally by the pressure or the suction, fall to the ground, and bleed to death. Their blood vessels were ruptured, really unpleasant. And in addition, there are all the other organisms that we do not see now, which are not yet taken into account. And here, infrasound, the inaudible noise that makes you sick. So as I said, I lived near them, and I was lucky that there were really stable thatched houses with stones between us. The wind mostly came from my direction, so that the noise wasn't often transferred by the wind. But when it did, it was very annoying. And I also had a huge old linden tree in the garden who damped that. Infrasound and health. There are more and more people who complain about symptoms. Here we see Dr. Stefan Kauler, who became aware of this problem through his patients, and that just the people who live there in the countryside show more and more health problems, abnormalities, and also damage. This simply has to be clarified, but that is not of great interest. Another big factor are the so-called longevity chemicals like PFAS. Many people don't know that either. No wind turbine or electric car without longevity chemicals. Without so-called longevity chemicals, the PFAS, which are also known to be harmful to humans, well, there is now some agreement that they are not so health-promoting. As far as I know, they are necessary for wind turbines to seal the ground. You will have to deal with it yourself, but it's clear when I introduce it somewhere into nature that this is a source of toxins that will spread and influence life and finds its way into the food chain. Well, it just doesn't work without it, and you just have to know that. Forever chemicals about to be banned, I think that was dismissed. Ultimately, you have to know that it doesn't work without them. And many people don't know that. And there are also other challenges. So, where I come from, the northwest of Germany, there are wolves coming back. There are more and more conflicts. Of course, bears and wolves are potentially dangerous for humans and livestock. There aren't many forests up there in the northwest, and what's available is often shredded. The pastures can be also called green deserts due to the lack of wild edible plants. Some nettle, dandelion, or else can be found, but it's not much. But who would believe that wolves, with their sensitive, highly developed hearing, would want to live in forests with, for instance, wind turbines? Same with the prey animals. And of course, they can smell very good. How do they react to all these chemicals? I find that all this does not really fit together. Let's continue to take PFAS as an example of long-lived compounds that are dispersed via aerosols, for example. People always like to forget that these substances become part of the cycles of nature, like the nutrient cycle. Many people do not know that there is a cycle of poison, which includes PFAS.